All right, everybody. Welcome again to Behind the Veil. I'm super excited to see everybody. Hello, everyone. I can't believe it's our 12th episode, and today we have almost a whole new panel, which is amazing. So I'd like to first introduce, I shouldn't introduce myself. Hello, I'm Keith Willard with Keith Willard Events. I'm your host and kind of the person that started all this because we wanted to give brides a way to get some questions answered, and especially during this time because it's a crazy time right now. Let me introduce Tara Horner. She is with the Boca Resort Country Club. Hi, Tara. Tara, tell us a little bit about you and Boca Country Club.
I've been in the industry for the last 20 something years. Love what I do. Boca Country Club is obviously situated in Boca Raton, Florida. We are part of the Boca Raton Resort and Club, which is off of Camino Real. So I am 1/3 of what they do. So I'm the catering sales manager there. And, we have a team that is also at the resort. There's 3 ladies there and a catering director. So we kind of sell a little bit of everything. So just unfortunate right now, we're just not working right now.
We're just not working right now. And by the way, so Tara was also instrumental in a program that we call Taste of Nice, which brings in a whole ton of vendors that are able to showcase their food, their beverage, their decor. And it was an incredible event. And if you'd like to see pictures of that, I do have it up on my Facebook, and it's called Taste of Nice. It's also under NACE, which is NACE, Greater Broward Palm Beach, and it's also listed under Taste of Nice there. So if you want to kind of see what the possibilities are, that's definitely a place to go.
Good one to look at.
Yeah, because you were amazing. You were just amazing at pulling that together. Next, we got Curtis Smith with Curtis Smith Photography.
Hey,
Curtis!
how are you? What's up?
What's up? So Curtis and I have worked together multiple times over the last 12 years, and he's been doing this since, I think you said 1992. Is that?
It's probably more, but I don't want to tell my young age, make everybody envious.
Yeah, but Curtis does an amazing job. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and about your background and your company?
Well, I was a product photographer in New York City and then migrated to the warmer weathers of South Florida and learned that, product photography was not a lucrative photography aspect of my career down here. So I had done weddings in the past. This was back in 2004 and started doing weddings and it just blew up. I mean, not to sound too into myself, but it did. And I was really surprised because it just kept going and going and going. And I actually started on Craigslist, believe it or not, advertising for wedding photography.
That seems a little creepy. What?
It was, wasn't it? I mean, but at the time, you had to sink or swim at that point. And it was networking. Networking is what got me to where I am today, and good people like yourself, and that's what took place. But now with this going on, it's scary. It's not scary. It is scary, but not just for the business aspect of it, but just in worldly.
Well, and the thing is that, you try to work with people that you trust, and Curtis is definitely somebody that I trust, especially in capturing those like absolute interesting moments. I mean, the wedding that we did at the Biltmore was just phenomenal. Oh my God.
I would love to have one wedding like that every week and I'd be set for life.
Right? I think all of us would be, right? I think all of us would be like, great, give me one wedding a week. That'd be awesome.
It had enough stress. It had enough fun. It had enough drama. It was all nice and balanced. There was not a lot of this or just it was really nice. And it was a nice workflow.
Well, it's true. I think
it was rough. I mean, you worked your butt off, but it was fun. It was fun. It wasn't.
It was a lot of fun.
Regretted.
Oh my God. And then we got Nichole with Clay Events, or CLE Events, as I like to say. So Nichole is a specialist in vintage furniture rentals and actually prop production, which I have some photos that we're going to show later of like the possibilities that she has created, because it's incredible. But Nichole, I want you to talk a little bit about the vignette thing that you've been doing in people's backyards.
Well, it's obviously we cannot have large group events right now. So a lot of people are doing more intimate things and they're turning their backyard into a venue. So we're doing the same type of thing we would do at a larger event, but on a much smaller scale. So if you're having a pirate party or for your child, or you're having a vintage circus wedding and you want everybody, but instead of having it huge and 250 people and trying to decor an entire ballroom, we're just decoring a much smaller space. So you still, and then most people are limiting, what we can see is about 40 people to their events, and it's been working out pretty well so far. So
yeah, I mean, some of the, and I'm trying to see if I can pull up that one of the vignettes that you did, because you did this one that was Alice in Wonderland, and it was just incredible. I wonder, was it under the PowerPoint that you sent me? I think it was under the PowerPoint. Let's see if I can pull that up. But in the meantime, Brooke, Logan, Stoner. Hi, honey.
Hi.
So if you guys don't know Brooke, she's been on all of our episodes. Brooke is my assistant and brings a fresh perspective and sometimes some interesting commentary, which we love.
Basically, I'm just the filler queen and he pays me in wine on Tuesdays. So,
Oh, well, so, and by the way, I love your background. Good girl. I love that.
Thank you. I got it from you.
I know.
This is the one that actually moves, but she's not moving.
For some reason, I know. It's weird, right? Why is it not moving?
But I bought new equipment. I'm going to buy new equipment. So next week, y'all will see my glow up.
Yeah, so she's tired of looking. She said she has to put on makeup like a clown in order for it to come across on camera. So she's all upset about that.
There's like 27 lights in here.
Shows? I didn't wear any makeup. Does it show? I didn't know we had to wear. Oh.
No, you have the right lighting though.
The magic's going to be my new phone and filters. I won't even have to put makeup on. I'll look sickening.
So stupid. Oh my goodness. So today I want to talk a little bit about, obviously we got to talk a little bit about COVID. So I wanted to ask Tara, are you seeing people having to move their dates over the summer and fall? And how is that being handled?
Well, I mean, obviously, we were shut down since the middle of March. And so you've had events in April that, just totally canceled. May, you get to May and May events have either just canceled or they're just on hold for now. I did have one quinceanera that moved to August, which now we're debating whether or not that's actually going to happen. So, reality is like, we've given money back because people either just canceled and just weren't sure. I mean, I'm hoping to move the one that's in August, but you kind of got to work with as you go along, unfortunately. So
is it kind of a case-by-case basis right at this point? At
this point, yes. I had something that should have been yesterday. It was it was a child's birthday party, but it was huge. But she was a bride that sought me out. A bride when I worked at Parkland, and she sought me out at Boca to come to her event at Boca, which really kind of stinks. But she'll come back and do something again. But it's on a weekly basis. It's on a monthly basis. We'd have no idea. So
right.
I know that the resort we're not doing anything because we're not bringing any staff back right now, just because they're not doing anything either. It's only open for members. But hopefully by August, September, I hope to be back. I can't, it's just crazy that, how, we're still waiting for phase 2. That's really what I'm waiting for. So until then, I can't really do anything.
Well, and one of the things that we've been saying is that, one of the things that you have to keep in mind when you're talking about moving an August event, and let's say that you have an August, like a Saturday in August event, and that you're moving it to, let's say, a March event, those are two totally different worlds. The minimums that are required for an August event versus a March event are totally different. And
right.
How do you explain that to clients? Because one of the things that I try to tell clients, because I used to be on the food and beverage side on the hotel, is that they still have that kind of revenue stream and there's still minimums that are required based on season.
Right. For me personally, and for what part I work at, I think I can be a little more lenient than the resort would be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have bigger fish bigger fish that they have to work with than I do. So for me, like if anything's moving, I don't think I'm going to say, hey, you have a bigger food and beverage minimum now. This is what we've agreed to. We're going to move you and we're going to keep it that way.
That's amazing.
For me,
actually.
it's good business for me on that side. I mean, I didn't want this to happen. Neither did they. So.
Right. But that's amazing because I've actually worked with some hotels that are like, look, if you move it to a Friday or Sunday, we'll be able to have that same agreement, and we'll be able to, honor those price points. But if you move it to a Saturday, first of all, Saturdays are all kind of taken up at this point for 2021. Right. I mean, trying to find a 20, so I'm trying to tell clients, it's like, a Friday and Sunday wedding is going to become the norm now. Mm-hmm. I mean,
yeah, you're going to see Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. You're going to see all those in there now to fill stuff in. But, I got Saturdays open. So if you want to bring some my way,
right?
We can do it.
Exactly. And so I should mention that the Boca Resort Country Club is a Waldorf Astoria property. So, hello, fancy. I'm just saying.
Yep, there you
just
go.
Hello, fancy. And so, Curtis, what about you? I mean, are you seeing your clients like move their dates, and then what are you doing when they have to move those dates?
Mine started out a nightmare. I really did, because I total lost 6 weddings canceled, and then 3 of my weddings changed their date, and they're all in August now.
Wow.
And one's a huge destination wedding in New York, which was June, I think, was it June 3rd or something? It was in June. And they've changed it to August, and they still have not confirmed 1,000 or 100%. They said it's 90%, but right now the wedding is in New Jersey, and they're only allowing 50 people in the church. I mean, they're only allowing 50 at this time.
And how many people was the wedding for?
I think it's at 175 in that area. It's a huge wedding.
Okay.
And
wow. And so what do you? I mean, if they reduce it to 50, I mean, obviously the price point stays the same.
Yeah, for me. But the thing is I the airfare right now is so low, and my package includes my travel fees, and I want to get the cheapest airfare, but I don't want to wait to the very last minute. And I also don't want to have airfare and not have a wedding, to go to. So it's one of those things. And it's in June. Is it June 8th? I have to look at the calendar. It's the first weekend in August.
Right.
Yes, June 8th or something like that. And it's just wait and see right now. So, but yeah. 6 weddings and I felt bad because I did return their deposits. I don't know if I should talk like this, but because it was an act of God, and I wouldn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel right, and they asked for it. If they didn't ask for it, I kept my mouth shut.
You're like, I'm not going to give it to you if you don't ask me. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that. I mean,
but it has been, it's been.
Well, and one of the things that we've talked about on the show is being a small business, trying to move an event. It's not just about, being able to move it to next year, which we're happy to try to do. It's about the fact that we lose revenue for next year as well for those big dates. So, January, February, March are like huge dates for us.
This was the big time. I mean, this was our money-making year, part of the year. This is where we get most of our income. And yeah, but I have booked. I booked one wedding the other day, and it's a small wedding, and it is just like you said, a backyard wedding. It's 50 people. They're going to do the ceremony at the beach, and then they're going to go to the house and do their little party at the house.
So you're seeing that people are adjusting what they think of as weddings, right? They're figuring out how to do it smaller and in different ways.
Their list of their guest list have shrunk so much.
Oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then for you, Nichole, I mean, because we talked a little bit about, at the beginning about doing the little vignettes, and which by the way, I've pulled that up. But, I actually wanted to bring up like, God, I lost my train of thought. The vignettes in the backyard. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because we're going to events that are more in like personal spaces, and smaller venues with less people, but we're still trying to have the same impact.
Right. So it seems like when I'm thinking of my children brought me a Diet Coke, so
So I'm sharing the screen, by the way, with your
So just this is
Cinderella.
like this is Alice in Wonderland. So what we always try to do is to create. We like to mix and match a lot. I hate everything that's matchy, you know. And so I mean, I guess, and I like the brides who like a little bit more, the people who like a little bit more of an ode to the past and have love antiques and whimsy and fairy tale. So that's my forte. So when we get to do that, and we can bring in like characters, so we can create a whole backdrop and like a backdrop, and then tables and accessories and a bar and whatever you need to go with your particular event. So you can have a fantastic event in your backyard for 30, 40 people and still have high impact.
I like the teepee.
It's beautiful.
Right? Don't you love the little teepee thing? I love that
I
whole
do.
little table and all those
Very
pillows.
chic.
It is. It's super chic. And from a photographer's standpoint, I mean, come on.
I know, that's what I'm sitting here going, oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could like this, we could, yeah, that's a.
I mean, this is an Instagrammable event.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think
Right.
that almost any hotel, any resort, anybody would be open to this, because I mean, think about the taglines and being able to push this out to social media.
I
You
have
know?
a question. I have a
Yeah.
question.
Sure.
What do you, and this is for everybody, what do you, how do you think this is really going to affect the new normal for us? Do you think that this is going to have a drastic impact? Is everything, you think it's going to go back to where it was? I mean,
No.
I mean, seriously, I mean, I think,
I think it will. I just think it's going to take much longer. I think our full recovery will take quite a while. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it eventually will go back, but it's not going to be
the reason
instantaneous. It might take years.
what I'm thinking is these people, the people and the general people are going to start seeing that they do not have to have all of this hip hop and glamour, you know, big time, multi-million dollar or $1,000 weddings, when they can just easily do a 50 guest list in their backyard. I mean, you think
Well, and the thing, and we've talked about this, we've actually talked about this on the show, is that, you know, it's much more about having your guest have a really interesting experience individually, where it used to be, you know, 250 people, you know, we'd have an ice cream station, we'd have some fire performers, and it'd be a wow moment. But now you can have a much more intimate event where, you know, maybe you have a personal chef that comes out and creates personal dishes for your 30 people, versus which would not be able to be done for 150 people. I mean,
and I think we have the ability at this point and in this juncture of forming a new normal that benefits both the vendors and the wedding party, far as we can create it now, because we were normally just, you know, going through the routine, you know, 1, 2, 3. Now we can kind of move these around and be a little more artistic and be a little more creative and have a little more fun with it, because we're creating it. We're kind of re-evolving, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
which I love.
I
I mean,
agree.
yeah. So like, Tara, I mean, what have you guys thought about, like, what could be something that you could propose to somebody, like, you know, in this new normal?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, you know, everybody uses that word pivot. You know, what do you pivot yourself to? You know, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, I certainly have things that I would like to see us do. I mean, I can't really do anything or propose until I get back, but
right.
You know, I do think that this will allow us to be a little more creative, and think people will actually listen to what we're doing. I mean, the things that Nichole has made, you know, these small vignettes, I mean, those are cool. I mean, it's just something you would never see. I mean, because every wedding is its own unique thing, or every event. So now you can make them uniquely them, not just cookie cutter of who did this, you know, 2 years ago or a year ago. I mean, it's like, this is my own thing to do.
Well, and that's the thing, is that before it was super easy, because we kind of knew what a wedding would do. We kind of, you know, if we're going through the logistics, we would meet with the bride. They would say, oh, I'd like to be at a 5-star resort with lots of windows facing the ocean. Done, done, done. You're going to have your 4-course meal. Done, done, done. You're going to have a fabulous photographer. You know, there wasn't any I mean, you would try to put their signature with like favors or a special station or something. But now there's so many more opportunities because we're dealing with less people.
Right. It's going to allow us to create an experience now.
Yeah.
Not just the, again, like you're saying, I'm going to get married here, I'm going to have this, and it's a half an hour ceremony, it's an hour cocktail reception. Now it's going to be totally different. Totally
right.
Different.
It opens the door for like so much cooler creativity. I mean, we talked about last week about drive-in movie weddings. What? I mean, if you had talked about this like a year ago, people would be like, you're crazy. What? Who would do that?
You're broke. You can't afford us. You can't stay with us.
Exactly.
Nichole's phone would not ring for that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, but now you can have those intimate things and people aren't going to like judge you based on the number of people that are coming to the event. Not that I really felt like anybody ever judged anybody about size, that was weird. Okay. Not that anybody judged you about
coming like, for you, Barbara.
Like number of people that are coming to the wedding.
Now. Those are my favorite lines. I'm sorry. I had to jump in. I love that. They're coming for you, Barbara. Look. Sorry.
Some of the people in the industry that I've been talking to that are doing smaller events, they're saying that people are opting for a bit more quality over quantity. It's like to instead of trying to maybe having a million flowers everywhere, they're trying to be a little bit more creative with
and I've kind of been trying to create stuff within my head. I've yet to put it into, well, I'm going to in this little small wedding, is since their guest list is small, they're still, that doesn't, they still have family members that could not attend or cannot attend. But as far as bringing that wedding to them via on the internet, like in a 360 degree cameras, where they can go in and virtually be there, either with their little headsets, or they can just see online, and then, they can move around in a whole 360 degree at their will to see the whole entire event, whatever it might be, the ballroom or the dance area, whatever.
Yeah, because we talked about this, about creating a virtual world where you could literally put on the headset and you're there at the wedding.
Exactly.
And you turn left and you turn right and you're seeing what other people see. I think that's such a cool idea.
And you can do it in 3D too. And so you're actually there, you hear it, and when you move around, and I think that I think there's something there. It needs to be a little more,
worked out.
But yeah.
Well, so Tiffany Online, by the way, said she's put in her 2 cents and said, full recovery will be years. Weddings are changing and corporate will take ages and are turning online. I mean, that's true. I mean, corporate events are turning online.
They are, but they may break it into different sessions at this point. You may not see the 500 people at one time. You may see them do one a quarter, where they can have less people. I mean, they'll still have virtual reality, but I think at some point, there's nothing like the human connection, and that's what this is all missing right now.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we can do a lot of things virtually, but Keith, you and I were on a call the other day and we're like, I just want to see a human. Right. Like I want to physically see somebody, because you can't, I don't want to sit in my house anymore. I hate it.
We work with some DMCs and we've been getting some requests for decor and things, but nothing sooner than June 2021.
Really?
No, absolutely. I don't think you're going to see anyone that wants to venture out until there's some sort of vaccine out there.
And I think
that's the unfortunate part.
And that's the unfortunate thing. But one of the things that we've been working on is invitation by time. So it used to be invitation by date and then a general time, like cocktail reception is from 6 to 7. But now it's about more specific times. So there's a rotating floor, so to speak, and that there's 4 sections, and that you invite 20 people at 6 o'clock for appetizers. At 7 o'clock, those people move to entree. And then the next row of, we're still working those out. But one of the things I want to show is some of the little things that Nichole was showing earlier on Facebook. So here is, I love this. This is a storybook brought to life. I mean, Nichole, tell us a little bit about this, because I just think this is so cool, because I think if we're going to go to
crazy.
I know Nichole did this. I know Nichole did this.
You go, girl.
The whole idea behind this was we wanted to bring, this was a fairy tale event, and we wanted to bring it to life. So it's not only large scale, but interactive. We had performers in theatrical costumes interact with the set. So this could be a really cool thing for even in someone's backyard. Imagine that the tale was Sword in the Stone or Excalibur, but imagine if the story is your love story.
Right. If you want that Cinderella wedding, there you go.
There you go. And there's the big bad wolf.
Yeah, and this was Little Red Riding Hood. So, but I mean, imagine you could customize this. So the story on the left could be your story, and then you have as the backdrop where people can get in and take pictures and everything else. You have, something that brings your love story to life, whether you're skiers or you met hiking through the Alps. We could create that. So, and this was
I put those candles out, and I put the flowers on the gate.
Yes,
we all worked on that event, I think, in one way or another.
Those books were so huge, though.
They were.
Those books are.
They were amazing.
But when we're talking about smaller events, this is the kind of stuff we get to do, because when you're talking about a large event and you're talking about 150 people, a lot of your budget may go to, and I hate to say this, Tara, but would go to food and beverage, and maybe now can go to decor. And
I agree with you. Yeah, because it's the experience that you're providing to your guest. Right. So I'm fully into that. Absolutely.
I mean, can you, think about the idea of you open the ballroom doors as your guest, you walk in and you literally walk into a storybook, right? I mean, how cool is that? I mean, I love the idea of that, and so like literally you go through, you have your picture. So Curtis takes your picture with the big bad wolf, and then you go off to the right, and then you go to a really specific, intimate dinner. I mean, the possibilities are crazy here.
Yeah, it's great. But Nichole is awesome. She has great ideas. So
thank you.
You're very welcome. I love working with Nichole.
Right?
She's my favorite Nichole ever.
I miss working with everybody.
And so here goes the love fest. The love fest starts.
So tired.
I'm tired. I didn't love her the day when she was trying to make me put that, what was it, twine through those ornaments?
Oh yeah. Oh,
and she's probably the only person in this world I'm afraid of is Nichole. So, I'll kick anybody else's ass, but I'm afraid of her.
No, I think I'm afraid of Curtis sometimes.
Next Christmas I'm busy.
Yeah, especially when we're stressed at a wedding. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, you get a little intense.
So listen, I gotta butt in.
Okay, butt in.
So remember when I was telling you about my sister-in-law and that whole wedding thing?
Yeah.
And hi Angela, I haven't talked to you in forever. I've seen you. You look fabulous. I saw the pictures of you and Nathan and the kids yesterday. She's actually watching.
That's okay. Random moment. There you go.
And then my Eric, my hairdresser, is on, and Patty was my cosmetology instructor.
Oh my God!
So that's now a good friend of mine. She's the one I went and saw in the Keys a few months ago.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So Curtis, when we're talking about weddings, when you have a new client that comes to you, what's a question that you would want people to ask, like at the beginning? What is the specific information that you wish that people would tell you right up front?
Well, that's a good question. It's a question.
I know you're like, oh,
I know you just got me off guard. Now I
totally.
How about how long do you expertly think it will take to shoot a wedding? What is the time frame?
Yeah.
Because most people think you can do it in an hour and it's only going to cost $500.
Oh my God, that's my favorite.
Perfect setup.
You know what it is? It is, I trust you in whatever you tell us to do.
Right.
Instead of second guessing everything I say. Why do we have to do that? Are you sure that's right? Just have trust and faith in me that I'm going to lead you down that road to give you beautiful pictures as far as in my
right.
Because I all the time, and I can't tell you how many times that I have my famous little quote I tell everybody is, hate me now and love me later.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
Hate me for making you. I mean, I was in Mexico and I made the bride. She you know, it was a 15-minute walk to the beach, and it was a beautiful sunset. And I see these pictures popping off in my head. I'm like, okay, just hate me. I don't care if you get mad. Call me what you want. Slap me if you have to, because I'm going to get a great picture that's going to advertise for myself. So I know I'm going to get great pictures. I tell everybody I shoot for myself, because that's why you're coming to me, because you like what I shoot for myself. So I mean, simply. So I say, just hate me. Tell me whatever you want. I guarantee you will say, I'm sorry, I love you, you're this and that at the end of the picture. I mean, you know, after they see what I'm doing. That's what I like. I like when a bride and groom says, we love your work. You know, we connect. And that's another thing with me. I have to connect with my bride and groom. If I can't connect,
you have to.
I can go and shoot your wedding, but it's hard. It's
well, because you become super intimate with people.
Like if you're not getting along and that chemistry is not there, it can get real cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you horror stories that, you know, and it makes your skin cringe, but
you have to be able to connect with your clients. And, you know, one of the things that has been coming up, you know, obviously during this time, it's super stressful, and more now than ever, I am so glad that I vetted my clients to make sure that, you know, that we had a great, honest relationship, because when you're trying to move a whole wedding from one date to another, trust is a big thing. I mean, they have to believe that you're going to make sure that you take care of all those details. And I think that's the same thing with a hotel. You know, go ahead.
When you get the feeling your client is second guessing you and starts doubting you, you start doubting yourself. Just, I mean, you go, wait, am I really, is this, you know,
right.
It plays a big deep part in.
Well, and I always tell people, I said, be really careful of the deal. You know, if I give you 3 different vendors that all come in within, like, let's say $500, and then you find a vendor that gives you $1,500 off from that, be very careful of that. I mean, there's a reason that we trust the vendors that we trust, you know, and everybody has budget needs, and we try to make sure that we fulfill those budgets and we give people options. But, you know, especially during this time, I'm finding that there are a lot of vendors that I find typically more expensive that are coming in cheap. And that worries me, because what is that product going to be?
I'm one of those. I hate to say it, but I have been one of those lately, because the market is so, and I don't know,
soft, gross.
It's a roller coaster. It really is.
Unfortunate. What it is.
Your work may be worth this, but you have to eat. And you have to get this. I mean, it's a survival game almost right now. It's scary.
It really is. But now, and honestly, do you feel like, if, you know, let's say that you've come in very inexpensive for a future client, are you going to, like, I know what your answer is going to be officially, but let's say we're talking about a third party, you know, do you feel like most vendors would not give the same attention to a future wedding as those that paid full price? And crickets. That was a great question.
It was a great question.
Yeah, I think that goes to, that goes on the mental, that depends on who you're dealing with. I mean, seriously, I mean, I give them, because like I said, that's one of the reasons I tell everybody I shoot for myself when I'm shooting your wedding. I mean, granted, you're going to get beautiful pictures, and regardless if you've paid me X amount of dollars versus small amount of dollars, I'm still going to get you those pictures. I mean, it's just that simple. It's for me.
Well, you know, one of the things is that, you know, I've always given my clients more than they purchased. Always. It's just been kind of a thing. It's actually a flaw in my own business model.
It's not a flaw. It's not a flaw.
No, it is. Like, you know, they pay me for day of, and then I end up doing, you know, partial planning or full planning sometimes. It's just stupid sometimes. So, but, you know, and this coronavirus, I mean, it's like I can't give extra deals because I was already doing that beforehand. It's like, where do you go? So, you know, and then, so Tara, that question kind of goes to you as well. Do you think that the hotel is going to require smaller minimums in order to get business in?
I can't answer that for the hotel. but for me, I
Yeah.
will. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm gonna try to take what I can get. I mean, I'm not gonna,
Within
I'm
reason.
not gonna, yeah, within reason. I mean, I'm not gonna, discount us based on, to make, to help. I mean, we'll discount stuff to help people. We're not gonna I'm not gonna say, I can do this for you this time, but it's the reputation that we still have to uphold at the same time.
And that's the hard part here, is because we've never faced this ever, and so the idea is, I've always been told in the past, don't lower your prices, don't lower your prices, don't lower your prices, because you don't want to be known as the cheap wedding planner,
right?
But then here comes COVID, like, oh, okay, what do I do during this time? And so, I'm finding that like the W is reducing their minimums, I think, for the fall of 2020, but they're being very specific about it. They're like, for the fall of 2020, we've reduced our minimums. And I think that's probably an important piece here, is that we put time limits on it.
Of course.
Of
course. Yeah, you'd have to, because somebody's going to try to take advantage of that. I mean, we're trying to get business too. We're all still trying to live and, to work and make sure everything is well. But I mean, for 2021, I mean, even though we're probably not going to be out of this at this point, I mean,
I know.
I'm not sure that, people are going to say, I'm going to reduce anything at this point in time.
Well, because I feel like all the Saturdays are going to be taken up at this point.
They will be. They will.
And then it'll be Fridays and Sundays that people fight over.
Right.
A wise man once told me, know your worth. Do not work for free.
Yes.
I told Brooke from the very beginning, I'm like, she's like, oh, I'll come work for free. I said, shut your mouth. Don't you ever say that again. Never work for free. Oh my God, know your worth. Because at the end of the day, you're worth something. What your
it wasn't that I wasn't gonna work for free. I think it was something I hadn't had experience with yet. So it was like, I'll come in as a learning thing for, don't pay me. You don't have to pay me, just include me. And he's like,
don't ever do that again. I was like, never say that again. Never work for free.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what we do has value to it. I mean, Nichole, look at all the stuff that you build. I mean, there's labor and time that goes into it. And I don't think people really understand that there's also the responsibility of a warehouse.
Yeah. I think that's the big thing, is people say, oh my gosh, well, why do you charge X amount for this? We pay for a warehouse year long. We pay for even extra storage units sometimes year long. But then, and then we normally touch up everything before it comes to your event again, or we modify it based on your specific needs. So unfortunately, our side of the business is pretty labor intensive and costly. So, so there has to be a minimum met, and I mean, we've actually turned away a couple of very, very small jobs recently, whereas I would have liked to have made it happen, but it just didn't make sense, and as much as I would like to have more work, it can't be at our expense.
And that's the thing, is it can't cost you more than you make.
Exactly.
Right.
As much as you want it, you're like, oh my God. And I think that's one of the things that, when we're talking to brides and we're talking about, options for them, we have to keep in mind where our price point is. But so Curtis, if we're talking to a bride that has, let's say, a budget wedding, I mean, what would your best advice would be for, as far as making sure that she gets the photos that she wants, but it is able to try to keep it within her budget? What would be some highlights, some options?
Well, I wouldn't change anything really. I wouldn't give her anything less than that she would normally if she came to me. I mean, because I couldn't say, okay, I'm just going to shoot really almost good, and I'm going to show up. I'm going to have my camera. I'm going to shoot you just like if this was a $10,000 wedding versus a 3-hour wedding at $500 an hour, whatever.
Right. Well, so one of the things that, like, one of the other photographers that we were talking to, she actually was talking about, like, instead of shooting a wedding, setting up a photo shoot with the bridal party, because sometimes people just want those formal photos with the bride and groom and the parents and the bridesmaids, and then maybe not so much formal shooting on the day of their wedding. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
You want my truth about that? And
yes.
Maybe it's kind of.
No, I want you to lie.
It sounds weird. That doesn't. I mean, to me, from being a wedding photographer, it sounds weird. I mean, I get it, you know, but not, you know, not having memories from your wedding, but only from a cell phone. I mean, I don't know.
Well, so the idea was not actually about that. It was more about sticking to the COVID-19 idea, you know, about social distancing, and with the idea that, you know, obviously if you have your family, you're going to be much more intimate with your family. So there's the ability to like not wear the masks versus having to wear the masks at the wedding. So it would be in an addition to, not a substitute for.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. No, that sounds great. Yeah, that would be awesome, because I like to do that, because I normally offer that for brides and grooms for the day after, you know. So because the day of, they're normally stressed out and there's not a lot of time, and every minute counts to get beautiful pictures, and they miss the sunset or whatever. So I always have them, you know, if they're willing to do so. I have to work with the groom, because the groom is the one just doesn't want to do it. But the bride, she's all into it.
I think in a perfect world,
Groom's like, I'm done. Did my part. I'm over it.
The groom's like, I'm sorry, I'm out. Bye.
Yes.
in a perfect world, I would have everything done like the day before, so everything is perfect. But to me, because I have been a bride once or twice,
Twice.
that the magic of that day and that moment, that whole experience, that whole feeling,
Right.
To me, it's like,
There's nothing that
you know what I mean?
replaces
Because
that.
like, if you're gonna put on your gown, he's gonna see you, all that, and you're gonna have sickening pictures the day before, great. But then on your day, it's like the whole, you know.
Well,
I feel like some of
Wow.
that the magic and the sparkle gets taken away.
Well, a lot of times this plays a part if you're in a destination wedding in a beautiful resort, you know, and you miss all of the opportunities that you could go on the island. Like when I would shoot it in Bimini, I would shoot every other week weddings in Bimini, and everybody would have their weddings at sunset. And once the sun goes down, it's dark over there. And there's not a lot of time. And if, you know, and I've taken clients, we got in the golf cart, they got their gown, and he got his tux on, and we would go all over the island and do a 2-hour shoot. I mean, it was a lot of work, but the results were they were very nice as far as the pictures wise.
Now, would you do that the day before or the day after? Would it be after the wedding,
Well,
so that they
I've
had
never
that?
done the day before. I don't. I mean, the engagement session is the day before for me, but as far as the day after, it's mostly the day after. Some people will wait. I've had them wait 30 days. I always say there's a cutoff date, because, you know, the magic kind of, I don't want to say the magic's gone after a day, you know.
Yeah, because then they realize, oh, we're married.
Yeah, who cares about pictures?
Yeah, 'cause
So it is a task to keep them, you know, entertained for the idea the day after, actually. But once they start seeing the pictures, you know, and you have to, and as a photographer, you know, not just to giving them good pictures, you have to give them an experience. It's not just pictures with us now, it's an experience. And so you got to make them feel special and look good, and, you know, and you have to enjoy it yourself. You can't fake it. And it's just,
No, you really do. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to be a part of it. But, you know, as far as wedding experiences, I wanted to talk a little bit to Nichole, because Nichole, what was your wedding experience like?
Oh gosh. Well, we surprised everybody. Because obviously we told everybody, invited clients and friends to come to our warehouse for an open house, and then we surprised them and got married. So when they showed up, they thought they were just coming for an open house, but we had 2 tents, because we had 2 tents set up, and bars and a stage and entertainment. Well, it was in November, and like one of my friends came up to me about 7 o'clock, and we were supposed to get married around 8 o'clock, and he says, the radar says it's going to rain, but it's going to pass. And no, it was one of those traditional Florida torrential downpours where the rain was just not coming down straight, it was coming down sideways.
No.
So it didn't matter that we had tents. The parking lot, there was so much water that came in so fast, like the parking lot flooded. And then so literally all of the guests there were like helping rush everything, the vintage furniture, the caterers, everybody, the entertainers, everything back into the warehouse. And then the bishop showed up, and everybody was like, what's going on here? And we got married. And one of my friends said, well, let me fix your hair a little bit before you do this. And I was like, it doesn't matter, I'm soaking wet. And well, when I saw those wedding pictures afterwards, I wish I let them fix my hair, because we look like drowned rats. But seriously, They say it's lucky for it to rain on your wedding. I'm still waiting for the luck to kick in.
So I just wanted to pull up some photos of the last wedding that Curtis shot with me, and I love this shot. This one killed me. Let me see if it'll pull up. Oh, why is it not pulling up?
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
Is it? Can you see it?
I'm gonna send you
Yes.
this.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
Up underneath that dress, Keith.
I know. I was like, what? I don't even remember you taking this photo, by the way.
That's funny.
But that's the sign of a great photographer. You know,
Right? I think so.
You'll catch moments that nobody will know until you see the pictures.
Oh my God, there's another one in here that he caught with a little girl that just, oh, this one. Oh my God, this just killed
I was like,
me.
is that the little baby from the Coco Chanel?
Oh my God, look at this photo. I mean, when you talk
Yeah.
about, catching those moments, I mean, this was not staged. This was
No,
one of
it wasn't.
those
It was
in
not.
the moment photos that I
Right.
was just so shocked.
And the Biltmore, the beautiful lighting. Lighting is, I have to say it, lighting is such a large percentage of getting stuff like that, because you don't get those every day, that beautiful lighting. And, that's the thing about good photographer and a mediocre photographer, is you have to train yourself to look for stuff like that, because those things, like they say, moments come and go. And if you're not looking, you have to be a step ahead. You have to kind of predict what your bride and groom or anybody's going to do. And sometimes you miss out and sometimes you do it. I've missed great shots. I'm not going to lie. And it's just part of the game, and,
Well, and this
Yay,
is
the
obviously,
Biltmore. Oh.
I know. So I
Who
brought
did
this
that
up.
fabulous lighting?
So Brooke, I brought this up because Brooke is so excited because she did the lighting in this photo.
And
it
I
is,
put the tablecloth on too. I talked about this last night, by the way.
and it turned out so beautiful. But I mean, it takes a great photographer to be able to capture moments like this because.
and great lighting. You guys got great lighting there. So
I know, but look
Thank
at
you.
that.
He always tries to
Come
dismiss my
on.
work.
I know. I just was so enamored with this shot. I mean, but that's again, you have to have the right photographer that is able to capture that.
And just let me stop right there. And that picture, just think of it this way. This is something during all this COVID stuff, the 360 thing, where you're able to take the camera and stick it right there, and you can go right in the middle of that and move around, and it's like you can see all of this stuff. And I think that I'm going to practice on this next wedding. I don't know if other photographers are doing this, or if this is something that I don't know about, but I purchased when you're looking for an apartment.
Yeah.
You go in and it has you see around, and then you can click the little arrow and go into the next room. Well, my thoughts was doing that with the wedding, starting at the altar with the bride and groom, and then and the person could walk through all the way to the reception, and you're standing there by the cake, and they can turn around, and if they can't be there, they can be there virtually, and I think that might be something. I don't know.
I think that would be amazing, actually, if you were able to create something where people could stand in the middle and just, so spin around. That sounded weird.
For florists and people and wedding planners to have something to show another bride. Look, this is what your room can look like. Look around,
Right.
Instead of just looking at a one flat image, they can go into that image and look around, which is kind of crazy.
Which is kind of, I mean, technology today it's changed the world. It just really has changed the world in what we do. I mean, so Tara, in integrating technology, how do you see that working in the future? Because one of the things that we talked about is having separate Zoom meetings, one for ceremony, one for vows, because nobody wants to watch a Zoom meeting the whole time, right? So maybe the idea is having separate moments for those special pieces.
Right.
What do
No,
you
I
think
would
about
agree with that. I mean, nobody wants to, start something at 5 o'clock and end at 10. It's a long time to sit in front of something. So just little snippets of things I think would be great. I mean, obviously a ceremony's not that long, but then you can, be involved in the cocktail hour somehow if they have entertainment or whatever it might be. So, no, I think at some point this is where we're all going to head. So now I need to go up myself for all this stuff now.
Right? Because now it's like, okay, now I gotta like figure out how to make this work for me.
Right.
So I was actually just trying to pull up our Taste of Nace photos so that way I could show them what the kind of possibilities that you have done.
Has anybody ever seen the wedding cakes that come alive? Because if you,
the 3D wedding cakes.
The ones where you project on them.
The mapping, the 3D mapping.
Yeah, I've got a lot of little projectors,
Yeah.
and I'm starting to get involved in that and trying to create a little side of my photography. It has nothing to do with photography, but I think it's just so cool. And I don't know how. The thing is, I don't know how likable it is in that kind of scenario. Has anybody ever done one per se?
No,
Can't say that I have. No.
so here's some photos from the Taste and Mace that we did with Tara. I mean, this is Peacock's Pantry's their booth. I mean, that's, to me, that's a fabulous little vignette to do for a wedding. I mean,
that was with Kelly Murphy, right? Events on the Loose.
Events
Kelly
on the
Murphy.
Loose.
Events on the Loose. I mean,
Beautiful.
and I love these guys. Like Laura Ashley did a whole thing about lionfish, preparing dishes with lionfish.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. But how cool would that be to have an intimate dinner with 30 people where you could actually do something with lionfish about how, and that's both green and working with our environment, and then figuring out how to create that like really intimate experience.
She's great at that. She's great at intimate things too.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the whole evening was just magical. I mean, I can't say enough about Tara and the Boca Country Club, because they really made all of this possible. And I mean, look at this. Who was the designer on the flowers?
It's Boca by Design.
Yeah, so Boca by Design did a really stunning, like, all the little pieces and parts. They just did an amazing job. And so, but again, we're really talking about creating those intimate moments and reducing or changing the idea of this large scale wedding to something that's a little bit more intimate, that gives your guest an experience, right? And I think that for the photos as well, those beautiful photos that we were just looking at, Curtis, I mean, you could capture probably a lot more of those intimate moments if you had less people, yeah?
Yes, because the more people, the more you're spread. It's like diluted, kind of, in a way. And then that's when you have another person involved, or another photographer. But
because you're really trying to capture the whole space versus these moments of intimacy.
And the after effect, I think, of that as being more intimate is you're going to get a better attitude from your bride and groom. Your bride and groom are going to be in a different state of mind versus if they had a whole 200 party, I mean, yeah, a bride and groom, it's all about them and they like the spotlight. But I think if you have, there's nothing more than I love to shoot as a bride and groom that are truly in love. True. That just radiates love. When I see that, I feed off that energy, and then I go to town. But I think you're going to have more of that if you went at smaller weddings, because of intimacy. And I think that's what weddings are about, isn't it? I think it's, that's the true essence of a wedding, not this huge, I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I tell people all the time, if you wouldn't invite somebody to dinner, don't invite them to your wedding.
Right.
Because I can shoot your wedding if you have 200 guests or you have 3 guests. It's not going to matter what your picture is going to me. I can make you look just like if you had 200 guests versus 3 guests. That's the thing, because I don't concentrate on how big. I'll shoot a big group shot or something like that.
Right.
But the amount of people there has no effect on, I mean, it does, but it doesn't have a real effect on me.
And Nichole, you were going to say something?
I was going to say that, we talked about, did I lose you guys? Sorry.
No, you're here.
Okay. I don't know. Something's going on with my computer. I was going to say, we've talked about how, even if you're doing small now, there's no reason why you can't celebrate later. When I first got married, I didn't get to have the wedding that I exactly wanted. And then 2 years later, we threw a huge blowout party and had exactly what we wanted. So, sometimes it's a little bit of a
give and take.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can still do something incredibly beautiful and get precious moments. And then a couple of years from now, a year from now, when this kind of is blown over, have a second party, have a first anniversary party, and just have fun. And you have none of the stress.
Right. Well, we did a 10-year vow renewal at the Epic, and it was awesome. I mean, we did this whole prom thing because they had a really great wedding on the original date, but then of course they wanted to really blow it out. Well, okay, so we're going to wrap this up. We're getting towards the end of the hour. So I just want to say thank you to our panel. Thank you, Tara, with the Boca Country Club. Thank you, Curtis Smith with Curtis Smith Photography.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nichole with Clay Events. And then Brooke, last thoughts.
I think what I'm going to comment on, because this wasn't what's in my brain right now, is like moving forward when phases start opening up and we can kind of sort of get back to what we call work. It's going to be a long time, I know for sure. But I think that at some point, there's going to be some protocol, even more so than we have now, put in place to keep us safe and everybody there safe and everything. So I'm like, I have some hope. I feel like we're going to figure it out. Like, when we're going to be able to do this, it's just going to, we're going to have to be like, we're being cautious now, or should be, it's going to be just probably a step up from that and level up a little bit. And I think it's going to be okay. We're just going to have to tighten down on a few things. And I'm hoping that there's going to be an easier, newer way to keep everybody safe. Because like everybody's like, this is what we know now. Well, maybe in a month or two, something easier. Like, oh wow, why didn't we think about six months ago? Yeah, so that's where I see this. I'm hoping that we're gonna be okay, and then someone's gonna think of something if we don't do it for ourselves to keep everyone safe.
I agree. So, one of the things I'm just really grateful for our panel today is that we really talked about intimate events. We talked about how to change the idea of these large scale events to smaller events, but that doesn't diminish the experience, that actually it may increase the experience of your guests. And so again, thank you everybody. Again, join us next Tuesday at 2, where God knows where our conversation will take us, because you just kind of never know.
I've been on my best behavior 2 weeks in a row. So.
I don't understand why. You shouldn't do that. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.